it's called a movie. It's a moving picture show. Can I get the mic up here? Okay. Can you guys hear me? All right. So I have the mic right here. It's called a movie, and they show you things earlier in the film specifically to set up things later in the film. So out of all the jobs that they gave Rey, they gave her something where she would have to be able to disassemble and identify parts that are usually fixed, presumably, even though they didn't show her fixing parts sometimes in order to make a living, because this is how she got her her money. She would have to fix those parts. This is all implied without being explicitly explained to you, because a movie tries its best to not treat you like you're an idiot. Even a dumb Star Wars movie tries to treat you like you're not an idiot. Do you guys understand this? Like, it's not real world logic. There are no space wizards. Okay. I'm gonna put the mic back down. This is the video that I'm going to be doing. It's called Rational the Radio. It says Actual Justice Warrior is wrong about Rey, and look, it's me in a thumbnail, and it says wrong. Let me click that.
First of all, flying ships in
let
Star
me
Wars.
pause that right there. Got to get my headphones in for it. Yeah, so this guy said I was wrong about an opinion I had on Star Wars. This has 20 likes to 42 dislikes. I forgot who sent this to me. And this is a content creator with 79 subscribers. I actually don't think this guy means badly, so I will subscribe to him. And I will recommend you guys subscribe to him, because this is not like that serious of a thing. But, you know, he put me in black and white in the beginning. As you can see, I'm wearing my rabbit shirt. And yeah, so he's going to own me on my Star Wars opinion, and I'm going to respond. Yeah, so I see Nuance Bro is complaining in the chat. So, yeah. This is true. I'm not only never wrong, but when I do correct myself, both the thing that I initially said and the thing that I corrected with are also right. That's how factually correct I am. Also, Nuance Bro still complaining about Jeopardy. Dude, it's just move on. Don't make me play the Jeopardy video here so we can watch you complain in real time. He's a complainer, guys. So apparently I'm wrong about Rey. I want to see how.
First of all, flying ships in Star Wars has...
And I can't hear anything.
Always been something that the franchise has been really stupid about. I mean, when you think about it, Luke is a moisture farmer on Tatooine who by the end of the first movie is flying an X-Wing into the Death Star, into a firefight, and sinking the final shot to blow up the Death Star.
So I suppose he's right. Unless there was a clip from the original.
Listen to this guy. He's like, I suppose he's right. And then he just hits a pause button. I don't like the video editing style. I don't like the black and white. I think it needs to be in living color. Wrong. Incorrect. I can already tell where he's going with this, and this is wrong.
Original movie that proves that Luke Skywalker has had experience with ships, and he's an adept fighter pilot or an adept user of flying machines. If only that clip actually existed. Oh, wait, it does.
That's impossible, even for a computer.
But it's not impossible. I used to bullseye womp rats in my T-16 back home. They're not much bigger than 2 meters.
Or how about this clip?
You sure you can handle this shit, sir? Luke is the best bush pilot in the Outer Rim territories. You'll do all right.
Anakin is even worse. He is a slave that is somehow building a pod racing thing, and for whatever reason, for little baby Anakin, him building that pod and knowing how to drive a land-based vehicle can somehow translate into him flying a ship and destroying a whole bunch of stuff at the end of Phantom Menace.
Okay, one, he's an experienced, essentially, Formula One racer. He succeeded.
All right, do you see how dumb this point is? So my point was that in Star Wars, it's actually rarer for them to have non-pilots than it is for them to have pilots. This guy's saying that Anakin is an experienced Formula One racer. I don't know what that is. I'm going to Google it. Okay, I Googled it. That's a race car thing. Race car people cannot fly airplanes. Like that's not a thing that would happen, right? Like we all understand that. But also on top of that, these are spaceships. So my whole point was that in Star Wars, characters tend to be good at things for no discernible reason. And one of the most awkward, weirdest things humanly possible in Star Wars is when somebody can't fly a ship, because everybody can fly a ship. But this guy's like trying to own me by saying Anakin is a Formula One racer. Like, there's no excuse for little baby Anakin Skywalker. Like, I get he's like the Force Messiah, but like, who cares? Like, out of all the things that people are going to make a video response to do, it would be this. Shameful. And I don't like it. And I'm against it. All right, let me play this video.
In winning his freedom, and I think that would transition a little bit better than a junker. Two, for the majority of his ride as a child in one of the Naboo fighting ships, he was on autopilot.
Look, there they are. That's where the autopilot's taking us. R2, get us off this autopilot.
And when he got off of autopilot,
so he gets in the ship, turns on the ship. I can't believe I'm going over the Phantom Menace for this. Yes, when I say Jedi Jesus, I'm dead serious. Like, they actually say that Anakin has no father. He's like literally a Force baby, right? Not to be confused with the other way that you can become a Force baby. That's nowhere near as magical. But yeah, so he takes the autopilot, flies over there, and even in the clip that he shows, before Anakin destroys anything, he says, "Take us off autopilot." Like, also, again, Anakin has the skills to build things as like a little 8-year-old somehow without explanation. Like, it's one thing to be good at the Force because you're a magic Force baby. It's another thing to also be good at being a pilot when you're like a slave. So he's like an excellent mechanic. Like, he can build stuff. He can pilot little land speeders that he can custom build. He could also build all kinds of other robots like R2-D2 and C-3PO. And he can pilot spaceships because he's a baby. Yes, he's overpowered, which is fine. Again, I mean, the Phantom Menace, nothing about it is fine, but it's fine. Like, nobody has a big deal about it. But like, my thing with these like sequel haters is that they like drum up the prequels to be something that they're not. Like, every problem with the sequels is in the prequels, except the prequels are written by like an 8-year-old. So, you know, just saying. But let's hear this guy.
it was made as a joke that he got into the ship and accidentally blew one of the main power cells that destroys the ship. None of that was because of experience, and he also stated that it was very similar to pod racing. So,
but that's my point. My point was that in Star Wars universe, being able to drive a land speeder is very similar to being able to drive a spaceship. It's not like that in the real world, but based on the fact that we're talking about Star Wars, this is not an uncommon thing.
it transitions apparently for him a little bit better. So I would take that over picking up junk and handing it to people and then climbing into the Millennium Falcon and outmaneuvering experienced fighter pilots. But that's just me.
Again, like it's yeah, exactly. It's space wizards, number one. Number two, so what he's doing weirdly, and yes, I'm breaking this down as if it's serious. I'm breaking this down as if it's the Zapruder film right now. So what he's doing is pointing out that in my video, I said the reason that Rey can fix the Millennium Falcon, the reason it's shown to us, like the setup for that, whether you agree with it or not, which is what was in my original video, was that they show her making her living, taking apart certain parts of ships in order to sell them to make a living. And they show her doing it once because it's a movie. But the implication is that that's what she does for her whole life. So when she looks for a part, and even in the movie, the part that she finds is a similar part to the one that she fixes in Han Solo's ship. That would show you that she needs to be able to identify it. She's also selling it, so it would have to work. This is how movies work. Like they show you stuff in Act 1 that pays off in Act 2 and Act 3. Like this is a setup. Now you could not like that. You could say that Rey has too many skills. I think that's what I was saying. But like compared to Anakin, she doesn't. Anakin's 8. He's a slave on a planet. He lived with a stupid bomb in his neck. And he has all these skills. He has more skills than Rey at 8. You know, there's that. But whatever. This guy's like smug voice is putting me off.
Moving on.
And as for fixing the Millennium Falcon's hyperdrive on the fly when she's never actually been in the ship, again, it's not the best explanation, but she was portrayed as a junker.
I mean, look at that. Like, look at the thing that she's holding and look at the thing that she's fixing later. Like, one of the things I can't stand about movies, and they do this in the future movies, is when they like treat you like you're an idiot. Like, film is a visual medium. You're supposed to be able to understand that things that you see in the beginning, things that they highlight, that they show you, like if they show you something early on, like they didn't have to give you a good look at the part earlier in the movie. That's for a purpose. Everything in the frame needs to make sense. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not like defending Rey as a character or the sequels as a character beyond the point that I'm defending them. Like, you know, the sequels are I didn't even watch the third one because after the second one, the Last Jedi, I stopped caring. But like, look at this look at this view right here. There's a reason that they do an insert shot. Like, this is called an insert shot, you film geeks.
Who was taking parts from old Empire ships and selling them off. You would presume that in order for her to make her living doing that, she would have to know in some way what she's looking at. And it's not that odd to say that if you're able to identify and take apart parts, that you might be able to recognize how to put them back together.
If that's the case, then anybody who's ever changed a headlamp from one of their cars immediately knows how to fix everybody else's headlamps in their cars, right? No.
You see what I mean about this guy nitpicking me? Again, it's a movie. And by the way, if you change a headlamp in one car, then presumably you would be able to change headlamps if they're similar in other cars. Like not fixing them, like replacing them. Like, it depends on the car and all that, but like it's not that difficult of a thing. Like, his weird, like comparable thing, it's not the same thing, especially when we're talking about what looks like a standard like thing. Somebody says even the Star Wars trilogy, people think that they suck. I mean, post the fact, they might think that, especially since every Star Wars movie, they have like the DC problem where they react to the previous movies. Like The Force Awakens was very much a reaction to the prequels. That's why it's very paint by the numbers kind of movie. Like, it follows the original trilogy. The second one was a reaction to The Force Awakens, which was, oh, The Force Awakens is just a ripoff of A New Hope. It's very standard. It's paint by the numbers and all that. So they did literally the opposite of what people were expecting on every single point, whether it made sense in the story or not. The third movie is a reaction to the second movie, diverting from what everybody expects by kind of trying to bring it back home and, you know, make it more in line with the original trilogy. So, like, every single Star Wars movie is a response to a previous Star Wars movie in the new ones. So, yeah.
Just because you take apart things from a broken something does not necessarily translate to you being able to fix something from an entirely different vehicle. Again, based off of your argument, you stated that she had been taking things apart from broken down Empire ships. That does not translate into her knowing the ins and outs of a ship that she has never been in before. So he goes in with the very big final argument.
Again, it's called a movie. It's a moving picture show. Can I get the mic up here? Okay. Can you guys hear me? All right. So I have the mic right here. It's called a movie, and they show you things earlier in the film specifically to set up things later in the film. So out of all the jobs that they gave Rey, they gave her something where she would have to be able to disassemble and identify parts that are usually fixed, presumably, even though they didn't show her fixing parts sometimes in order to make a living, because this is how she got her money, she would have to fix those parts. This is all implied without being explicitly explained to you, because a movie tries its best to not treat you like you're an idiot. Even a dumb Star Wars movie tries to treat you like you're not an idiot. Do you guys understand this? Like, it's not real world logic. There are no space wizards. Okay. I'm gonna put the mic back down. Let's go back.
Argument as to why Rey is not a Mary Sue, with the idea of the battle between Kylo Ren and Rey, and her winning, Kylo Ren losing, and everybody being angry that Kylo Ren lost. I, contrary to belief, have no problem with Kylo Ren losing, other than the fact that it makes him not a very big threat in further films. It's bad writing. The only problem that I have is with how she won. Now, note, there could have been multiple different ways that she could win. She could possibly hit him in his weak spot. Maybe he starts bleeding out a little bit more from his wound. Maybe you can see on his face that he's conflicted. Obviously, he was not in this fight to kill her. He was in it to convince her to go.
None of that's accurate. We're talking about The Force Awakens. He was in that fight to kill her. He's also stealing points from my original video and using them against me. So that's weird. That his best points in his video are the points from my video. Not saying anything, just saying.
Go to the dark side. All that being said, I don't care if any of those ways were obviously pointed out and she took advantage of a weak spot. No, she closes her eyes and just says the Force. And when she opens them, she now obviously becomes 10 times better of a user of a weapon that she's never heard of, and using a thing, which is the Force, that she has never experienced, other than, again, another odd Deus Ex Machina manipulation. The Force is not just something that you have no understanding of that you can call on at any point in time. It can give you skill in something that you're already.
Literally, the first Star Wars movie ends with Luke, who had like one earlier scene with the Force where he's like training with the lightsaber, like putting away his scanner at Obi-Wan's command and using the Force to blow up a thing. But okay. We'll see where he's. And he's also saying using a weapon that she's never heard of. Does anybody remember the weapon that Rey is holding before she gets her hands on a lightsaber? It's actually a pole-like device about the same size as a lightsaber, a staff that she uses, and she's shown fighting efficiently with. Do you wonder why in this movie? Let me get the mic up here. This is the wisdom section of it. Do you wonder why in this film, out of all the weapons in the universe, they gave Rey a staff that was about the same height and shape and would have the same feel as a lightsaber? Anyone? Okay.
Adapted at or well, professed in. We've seen that with the pod racing, where Qui-Gon tells Anakin to trust his instincts. We see that in Anakin when he's
Qui-Gon told a little 8-year-old to trust his instincts in a pod race, and he won the race. Little slave boy who wasn't allowed to drive a ship built a ship, and then was able to pilot it better than people who race it for a living. Okay.
He's, flying and trying to destroy the Death Star, in Obi-Wan telling him to use the Force. Essentially, after he had already had training with Obi-Wan to use his instincts to...
He had training with Obi-Wan. Like, all these people that make these Star Wars videos, almost, like, they talk almost exactly the same, and they regurgitate the same things. Right? you know,
harness the Force within him. Nobody has taught her what the Force is. Nobody has established to her how to use the Force or how to become stronger. Also note that a lightsaber is something that you must train in. It is shown and proven that a lightsaber is a part of a Jedi's training. Next, he tries to specifically point out
a lightsaber is part of the Jedi's training. I like how he has no clips in there. Again, why out of all the weapons in the world did they give Rey a weapon that is like functionally like a lightsaber? Like, you know, it doesn't cut through anything. It's not a magical laser sword, but size, weight, the fighting style. Like, it was to establish that she had these skills. You might not like that. I understand. But like, just because you don't like a setup in a movie doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. In the beginning of this, I defined what a Mary Sue is characters that basically have like the Deus Ex Machina thing always happen. They end up with all these perfect skills and all that. And that's the way that a lot of people talk about it, because a lot of people talking about Star Wars on the internet have no concept of film structure or anything like that. So the point of this video is me showing that stuff that people say is not set up for in the movie were set up for in the movie.
that Obi-Wan beat Darth Maul after Qui-Gon had lost, and
Yes.
Luke Skywalker
Yes,
he
that
used
did
his
happen.
rage mode or whatever. He continually says that rage mode is the reason why these
Yes.
individuals won. And no, it's not. In every single
Yes. Literally, we have a scene of Darth Maul and Darth Maul and Qui-Gon. Like, if you remember that, like one of the scenes, it has the good score from the Phantom Menace, the fight at the end. Darth Maul is fighting Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan's a Padawan. They're fighting Darth Maul together, and they're losing. Right? Then Qui-Gon gets killed. The more experienced Jedi gets killed. The little Padawan boy, Obi-Wan Kenobi, gets angry, and then he defeats Darth Maul. And he also defeats him by like flipping from below, which is hilarious because if you remember how the prequel trilogy ends, Obi-Wan's like, "It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground." High ground didn't matter 2 movies ago, but it matters now. So Obi-Wan amplifies his skills to the situation based on his emotions. Is this not an established thing? Okay. Just saying. This guy talks too much.
instance, it was skill. There might have been rage in there at some degree, but with Obi-Wan, it was not his rage that made him win. Notice Obi-Wan lost. He got pushed almost into the reactor. He would have died, except for the fact that Darth Maul let his guard down. He didn't realize that he was probably going to bring up another lightsaber. Imagine going into a gunfight and then shooting the gun out of some other person's
This
hand.
guy's such a nerd.
And then you've won because there's no more gun. There's no threat except for, oh, guess what? He picks up another gun. That's the only reason why Darth Maul won. He let his guard down. With Luke and Darth Vader, guess what? Luke had training with a lightsaber. Also, Darth Vader, very much like Kylo Ren, was trying to persuade not just some random person, but persuade his son to join the Dark.
Oh my god. Yeah, I understand that Luke was training. I get it. I see the Avatar stuff in the thing. Yeah, the Legend of Korra really did mess up the powers. It says the guy reacting to a sci-fi reaction. That's a good burn. No, I'm reacting to a response video that I would never make a response video to because it's not really relevant. But he's like, well, Luke had training, but Luke was obviously not as skilled as Darth Vader. Like, you know, we got to relive the original trilogy. And Luke ended up winning. And Darth Vader, way more powerful than even Kylo Ren or Darth Maul, right? Indisputable in terms of Star Wars canon. My point was, and he doesn't realize he's actually making my point, is that Vader was conflicted like Kylo Ren was conflicted. And then Luke got really angry. And that's why you have that scene where he's not even doing anything technique-wise, where he's like wailing on Vader and then he cuts off his hand. Like, that's my exact point, is that if you don't have focus, but your opponent has focus, the skill gap can close. But, okay.
Dark side. So there was conflict there. And yes, rage mode did take over. But if you watch that fight again, they are almost equally matched. That's because Darth Vader is sparring with his son, and Luke Skywalker is actually a Jedi Knight. He knocks Darth Vader off of the stairs at the beginning of the fight. That's not nothing. That's not just skill out of nowhere. He trained with Obi-Wan and with Yoda. So
And
no, it doesn't just come from nowhere. These are individuals who had trained with masters, whereas Kylo Ren trained with two masters.
Trained. Like, this is the reeing that we have to deal with. Could he defeat Uchiha Madara, though? Oh my god. All right. Let me play this. I need to wrap this up. This is
One
not
of them
fun.
being Luke Skywalker, and Rey just closes her eyes, and immediately now she knows how to wield a lightsaber, which she has hardly ever touched, and now she knows how to beat a Jedi, a Sith. It just doesn't fly right. Yes, it's a little bit more believable that she like won because he's wounded and stuff like that. Play on that. Oh, say something that takes him off guard. You killed your father, makes him weaker, slash him in the.
This is what I mean, is that they're asking for the movie to be dumber. Think about this. I just told, like, I'll explain like what's in the movie because this guy forgot. So there's a scene earlier in the movie where Kylo Ren is talking to Supreme Emperor Snoke, or Snoke. I think it's Snoke. Who cares? And he says that Kylo Ren is like being pulled toward the light side of the Force too much, right? And that's why his powers are weakening. So this is an establishment that Kylo Ren is not as powerful as he already is, right? So the reason Kylo Ren, by the way, kills Han Solo, his father, is because he thinks if he kills him, that will remove the doubt and the conflict from him. It has the exact opposite effect. We see him in distress leading up to it and distress afterwards, right? Again, inner conflict that pulls him toward the light. This is actually played on in the second movie when he has the chance to kill Leia and he decides not to. So, like, that's already established. What's the other thing that we establish in throughout the course of the movie? You see that crossbow thing that Chewbacca has? We see 3 people before Kylo Ren gets clipped with it, get clipped with it. All 3 of those people get like blown away, like 3 stormtroopers. So we also established that that's a serious weapon to be hit with. Kylo Ren had both of these issues going into that fight. We also saw him like dismantle Finn, who has like no force powers, like earlier in that fight. So like they've established that. They also show him like pounding the side of his chest, of the side of his, like where his kidney is, that whole battle. So like this guy's like, oh, Rey needs to say something to communicate this information to the audience, which means he wants it to be dumber. Once again, film is a visual medium. Like they communicate stuff to you visually. That's why it's not radio. This is why I hate this response video.
Then the area breaks apart. Or, oh, his wounds are too much. He looks like he might faint. Then get.
You see what I mean? He wants Rey to say his wounds are too much. It looks like he might faint. Because it's not enough for Kylo Ren to constantly be like pounding the side of his chest trying to deal with that wound while he's fighting him. This is what we're dealing with here. These are the people making response videos to me. People who want Rey to say, his wounds are too much, he might faint. Because you need that in a movie. You need somebody to say, Kylo Ren has lost blood. Blood loss can lead to potentially passing out. I am worried about this. And I think this is diminishing his ability to engage in this battle that we are happening with lightsabers. That should be said in the movie. Yeah. That's where we should go. All right. I'm Just bringing it up. All right, let's wrap this up.
Get the upper hand. But simply making the Force something that anybody can call on at any point in time and immediately become an expert in something that they have no knowledge or training in sort of dilutes the idea of a master apprentice mentality. What's the point of having them? Why train anyone in anything if you just can call upon the Force and then you're immediately an expert? It's something that is intrinsically in you that the Force can enhance upon. But if she's had no training, then she's not going to be good in this thing. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. It makes the Force seem more just available to anything. I can call upon the Force and become a great artist if I just close my eyes and say the Force. I can learn how to play guitar just by closing my eyes and thinking about the Force. Or I can drive any type of car or any type of machine if I close my eyes and just think about the Force.
He was literally arguing earlier in this that Anakin can just drive machines because he's gifted. And Anakin's gifted in the Force. But whatever.
You see what I'm getting at? Now, I want to take a moment and say this is not an attack on actual Justice Warrior as a YouTuber or anything like that. Much respect. I'm actually subscribed to his channel.
I like him. He said respect.
And if you like content that he puts out, you should probably subscribe to. I'm not asking anybody to go out and say anything mean about him. But when it pertains to the Mary Sue-ness of Rey, I'm sorry. I completely disagree. And hopefully I've given enough evidence so that maybe you disagree as well. But if
All right, you're supposed to put your wrong opinions down in the comments of my videos. But yeah, like I said, I'm not like against this guy in terms of like personally or anything like that, but like his arguments are not very good.